guys.
Good morning.
Hi.
Afternoon.
It's Good Friday. It's Trish and
Courtney.
It's been a little while since we've been on here with you guys. And we have a Facebook Live video, obviously scheduled today. Check out our events. We will always plan them out ahead of time. So if you want to watch it live, you'll see it on the calendar. And then you can arrange to be available. And if you're not, don't worry. Hi, Ann. Thanks for tuning in. So if you tune into this Facebook Live midstream or any Facebook Live midstream, don't worry, because you can always go back and watch it in its entirety. So today, we just want to mention this. Today, can you grab that little cute bird cage? Today, during the video, just leave a comment so we know you're tuning in. Give us a heart, and if you want, let us know where you're tuning in from. Maybe if you have a planning a paint project for the weekend, even though it's Easter, feel free. You can leave a message, but just leave us a comment. And then before the video's over, we'll just scroll through the comments, and where it stops, we'll choose one of you guys, and then we'll mail this cute little birdcage votive out to you. It's really sweet. It's a little rustic one, just as a spring gift. So without further ado, we are going to get busy, and I'm going to turn this around, and I'll still be narrating. And Courtney's awesome because she always volunteers to do the actual work, but oh, and there's a quick little snippet of our overly filled shop with too much stuff. And then also the new Iron Orchid, or the redesigned transfers that we have on our website. We just got some new ones in, and they're amazing. Maria, did we add these to the website?
Not yet.
Oh, can you do that like now?
Yeah.
You can go in my office and use my computer. But look at them. Look how beautiful they are. This is not what we're doing today, but Maria's adding these to the website right now. And hello, Vintage Mermaid. Okay, so Courtney and I were talking. We had some people write us about needing to do some questions on distressing and the different types of distressing. And you know what? I think I'm just going to turn this around for I'm talking. Otherwise, it's sort of silly. But there's different types of distressing, and there's tools you can use to do that. So, you know, we're primarily focusing on chalk paint during this demo, and that is, you know, Annie Sloan's products are amazing, and they respond to sanding and distressing beautifully. You can create a surface that feels like glass after you're done painting. And I'm going to flip this around, and we're just going to show you some of the tools that we use depending on the specific project. So what do we have? And let's talk about why you might use one over the other. So go for it.
So we have baby wipes. I like using baby wipes. I use these usually immediately after painting. The paint is pretty fragile, so it's really nice to use a baby wipe to distress it, because you can distress it very gently, and it's very easy to take it off.
So, but that, what happens if somebody, so you're saying if you're painting a piece and it's dry just for maybe less than 24 hours, maybe 48 hours tops, that we can do something called a wet distress.
Wet distress with a baby wipe.
And wet distress, you can use different types of tools. Baby wipes, I think everyone should have baby wipes in their little painting toolbox. We just picked these up at Walmart. They're awesome to just clean up your hands, but more importantly, if you have a project and you don't want to use a piece of sandpaper because you don't want to maybe scratch the base under the paint. We'll talk about that in a minute. Those work out great. Again, you do have, there's a time sensitivity when you're doing a wet distress. So you have baby wipes, which are really easy and gentle. And then, and I always say grab a couple because they wear out pretty quick. What's that? Everyone has those.
So this is a kitchen sponge. This is, again, for wet distress, but maybe if your piece has been sitting around for a bit longer,
so
you'll
like,
need something a bit more heavy duty.
So that has a little Scotch-Brite scrubby on one side. And you would moisten that so it's not dripping.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you can use these dry or moistened with water. And these are Annie's sanding pads. They are the bomb. They are very cheap. They're $10. You get 3 of them, a fine, a medium, and a coarse. And when I tell you they're the bomb, they are awesome. You can wash them out when you're done using them. So you buy one package, and honestly, if you take care of it, you shouldn't have to buy them again, like Ever. Unless you're going to be doing some serious sanding on wood that's not painted, I would save those sanding pads for only your chalk painted pieces. If you need to sand, if you have to sand the surface of a dresser because maybe there's some serious scratches on it before you paint, don't use your Annie Sloan sanding pads. Save those just for chalk paint. I would go to sandpaper, use an orbital sander on the wood if you need to level it out. But when it comes to distressing, either wet wipes, a Scotch-Brite scrubby, you could use a terry cloth washcloth, you can use the Annie Sloan sanding pads, and in this case, we're talking about doing a wet distress. And that means we're moistening the tool, or it's already pre-moistened because it's a baby wet wipe, with just a little bit of water. If you're going to use the baby wet wipes, you might want to get a couple of them in your hand. I would always use 2 because they break through really easy. And before you use them, and Courtney, these may not be the case, but before you start to use them, I would double up the ply so that way it's super thick. I would use both at the same time. And I would also squeeze them out over on the side because you don't want it to be, you know, dripping or super wet and then collecting in your crevices. So before we start to do this project, let's just talk about this mirror. So if you want to hold it up, I guess you'll get a video of me videoing. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so this is a, honestly, this is a frame, a mirror that belonged to my mom. It's probably, I'm going to guess, 50 years old because I think, I know my mom had it before I was born, and I am almost, well, I'm 48, I'll tell you. I don't care. I'm proud of my age. But anyway, so this hung in my mom's house, then it hung in my first house, and now it's in my home now, and it's in my powder room, and you can go ahead and put it down. It is a sort of a gold resin. We just actually painted it with Agusan blue because it will go in my powder room better that way. But I want to show the gold beneath. Now, because there is a gold resin, I don't want to use a sandpaper. I just, oh, and I did dry brush this with white ones, so that's probably what you're going to see in part of it. I don't want to see the, what was I going to say? Because there's a gold resin, the frame itself is sort of a plastic. If we were to use something abrasive like sandpaper, we would probably scratch up the finish, the gold that was already on there. So when you have a piece, you know, like 1970s bedroom furniture that has sometimes that trim of gold around the edge of the top of it, a lot of times the French provincial little girls' bedroom sets have sort of a formica top, and or they have the gold sort of inlaid in some of the edges. If you want to distress, if you paint over that with chalk paint, and then you want to distress to reveal some of the gold, I would not recommend using sandpaper or a sanding sponge. I would recommend doing a wet distress so that way you gently remove some of the chalk paint that is dry to reveal what's beneath. You'll notice that these baby wet wipes, you'll notice Courtney's sort of flipping them around and getting to a new section. When they start to get really worn and start falling apart, don't be frugal. Just grab some more wet wipes and take it from there and use always a fresh one. And I think it works best if you have a few because you need that to be sort of meaty in your hand. You don't want to be just using one ply. And remember, you might need to squeeze it out a bit because there's a lot of moisture in that and you don't want it to get accumulated or dripping down whatever piece you are doing your distressing on. So you can see, obviously, this is solid Abusan. And look how easy it is. It's almost an oxymoron with chalk paint. Chalk paint, once it starts to really set up and cure, it is permanent. And when I say permanent, can you pause for a second? Yeah. I'm going to show you guys something. So I'm taking you out. I'll show you something in front of my shop, which we are actually going to be repainting the entranceway, the sidewalk here. But we actually have somebody putting in. In one of our deliveries, we had some English yellow and some graphite chalk paint. Hi, welcome. Hi. We had some, come on in if you want. How are you?
Good, how are you?
You're on Facebook Live with us.
Hey.
So, we had a quart of graphite and a quart of English yellow at one time fall and open up. That's why those stains are on the sidewalk. The graphite is almost 3 years old, and we get snow. Those sidewalks get shoveled, and a little mini plow truck goes over them, and they get salted. So that stain of graphite on the cement is 3 years old. So like I said, once that paint goes on and it starts to cure, it is, it's committed, put it that way.
It's committed.
It's committed. Like that. So you painted this Abusan just this morning.
Yeah.
Because I procrastinated and I didn't bring this mirror in earlier. But you can see how simple and easy it is to distress using the wet white. I think this is also a great option to use when you have a piece of furniture and maybe you picked it up on the side of the road and it was like a certain color. Maybe it's painted purple, it's painted neon green. Hey ladies, if they need paint, will you help them out? So let's say you pick up a piece of furniture on the side of the road and it's painted in a really odd color and you're going to paint it instead with a, and you want a shabby chic look. So, and you want it to be painted maybe in like brown and white, which is actually the next, that's actually the next step to painting or distressing. Okay, so we're going to show you in just a moment a dresser that we actually did in Han Floor and then pure white, and we're going to distress it. So we want to hold that up just so we can get a good look at it. Yeah. Okay. Actually, hold it up so it's a little bit more vertical. It's okay. So that gives you an idea of how easy it was to distress the frame. Okay, so we're actually going to follow Courtney. We're going to go over there and finish our Facebook Live video. Okay. Do you want to grab these too?
Yeah.
Okay. And don't forget, if you're tuning in, leave a message. And before the end of this little video, we're going to give away this cute little rustic birdcage votive. Okay. So just again, this little frame, we painted it in Abusan blue. We did it literally probably 15-20 minutes before the video started, and just so we could have some paint on there to do the distressing. Okay, so what do we got going on over here, Courtney?
We have a white dresser. It came into us and it was almost like an old violet color.
I know. I actually like the color a lot.
Did
I
you?
thought it was a very pretty color. It was like a purpley gray.
Yeah.
But the customer contacted us, and don't worry, we did this just really quick. We are going to go back and finish painting the drawers very nicely. Yep. But she wanted this to look more shabby chic.
So what we did,
we're going to turn that around for you guys. Okay, so what did you do on this?
Yeah, so first we cleaned it with some odorless mineral spirits.
Oh.
That just takes off all the grease, grime, whatever's on there. We wanted it off, so we just cleaned it with that.
Okay.
Then we did 2 coats of On Floor, which is like a chocolate brown chalk paint color. And that's just to give the illusion that there's actually natural wood underneath this that we're going to distress through. So
after you cleaned it over the purple that was existing, we did the it's kind of like a milk chocolate brown color, and that's because she wants it distressed to be like a shabby chic to show that. Okay.
Show that. And then we actually did some clear wax over that to make sure that when we do distress, we don't actually break through.
So let's say that again a little slower. So this was a purple piece, and the customer wants more of a shabby chic look, so it appeared as though it was wood beneath the white.
Right.
So in order to do that, we first painted it with Han Floor, and then to give us a little bit of insurance that we don't break through the Han Floor when we distress the pure white on top, we did a layer of clear wax between the Han Floor and the pure white. I just want to reiterate, you don't need to wax between different colors if you're doing a 2-tone distress, a 3-tone distress. Normally, you don't do that. But in this case, we did because we wanted to guarantee that we don't break through that brown because the customer does not want to see any of the purple. So again, we painted it with Han Floor, then we did the clear wax application. After that was on, we did this actually at an event, and then we came back and painted it with pure white. And that's just to add just a little layer of the wax. So now when we do the wet distress, using, like, let's say a Scotch-Brite Scrubby, we don't break through the Hunt floor and show the purple. I'm sorry to repeat that multiple times, but I just want to make it clear that typically you do not need to do a clear wax application between multiple colors. You can just go straight to the different layers of paint, but it is a nice safeguard if you want to prevent going all the way to what the original base color was. Okay, so let's see. So what do we have set up? So you have your Annie Sloan sanding pads.
I do have my Annie Sloan sanding pads. We have rough, medium, and fine. I do have a little...
Ooh. I'll let the ladies in the back manage that. Go ahead.
There's a little water in the bucket just in case I need to add a little bit more water to them. And then we also have our sponge that we can use or not.
Okay, so, okay. Well, why don't you do your thing and just talk out loud?
I'm going to go in with the
or
medium.
Think and talk.
Think and talk. I'm going to go in with the medium. I'm just going to wet it a little bit more because it was just a little bit.
Do you need some paper towel or anything? Just a blot? So, you know, the awesome thing about these sanding pads by Annie Sloan is that they're reusable over and over. Always, whenever you're going to distress, you always want to, let's talk about that too.
Yeah.
So, obviously with distressing, if I can before you, I like to have an inspiration piece. So for those people out there that are somewhat new to this, you know, painting and sanding and distressing, the best thing to do is go out onto Pinterest, Google whatever you want to paint. If it's a dresser and you want it shabby chic with white, Google it and let the images come up. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So find a piece that you really love and then print a photo of it. Print it on a black and white piece of paper. It doesn't matter. And use that as your roadmap. You don't need to recreate the wheel. You can look at that image, look to see where it's distressed, and use that as your guide for where you want to distress and for how much. Remember, when you're distressing, depending upon your style, and there's no right or wrong. It's based on what you like in your home, okay? So just keep that in mind. When you go to distress, we typically, for the shop, it's a little bit more conservative. It's typically a little bit in the sense of where it would naturally wear. And those areas are around the corner edges, maybe kind of a little bit on the edges of the drawers, and also maybe where you would have your pull on your drawers or hardware. If you are going to do a little bit heavier distressed, one simple thing for somebody just starting out is never distress in the center of your surface, so that way you don't look like you have a little bullseye and it draws your eye right to the middle of that area. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around. So when Courtney does this, she's always starting from the corner and feathering out. Okay? And you got to be careful on corners or on 45-degree or 90-degree edges, because it's really often easy to break through the paint.
It's not as easy there.
Well, you know, this has been on here now for a week.
It's been, yeah.
Because it's been a week since we did it. But,
it's been a minute. I'll go with the rougher one.
What?
I just went in with the medium.
Oh, okay.
The medium's the green.
Okay.
I'm going to hit it with a bit of rough just to see if I can get it.
And you know what?
There
These have been used multiple times. So
they're a little
they wear a little bit compared to something new. And now this is a customer piece. Did she actually tell you, like, what was it when you talked to her?
Yeah.
How far down did she want to go?
So we go with like a 1 to 10 scale. She wanted a 7.
Oh, so she actually wants quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you know what I would do? Kind of do it on the top here. Okay. Let's see that. So this has been on, like you said, goes back to that whole chalk paint. Once it's on there, it really is sticking. And this has been about a week. We have a couple layers.
It's not happy.
Take your time. And I would definitely moisten it too, because it's okay if it gets a little wet. That gives you an idea, though. So you can see the brown. No purple.
No purple.
Which is a good thing.
God, pray for no purple.
Feel free to rotate that around.
I'm just going to take that off.
So I'm wondering if people have any questions out there. I see a lot of people saying, I love the helpful tips. That's awesome. We love that. But if you're tuning in and you have questions, put them on here for us, because we want to be able to help you out. Okay. Is there water in there? Oh, yeah. Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Okay, here, let's try this brand new one a little bit. You're just starting to break through, so yeah, feel free to go ahead a little bit. There you go. Now you're getting some action. Okay. You always want to do this with a gentle hand because you can take off more paint if it's not enough. So you said she was looking for more. Oh, that's definitely okay.
Yeah, I just had to wipe
that looks really good.
Yeah.
And notice too, once you start to wax it, it's going to come through a little bit more. Can you bring this around? I can see there's one little paint here and there. And as you start to distress from here, this way, from the corner back, you'll remove that. Actually, try to pull it from here back. Yeah. That's good. You don't have to, just because she was like a 7, so. Yeah. It's kind of funny. Can you distress before you use a whitewash? Yes. Yes. Or would you recommend doing the distressing when whitewashing? Okay, so I'm just going to turn this around. Okay. So the answer to that, it's Sue who asked that question. Hey, Sue, there's no right or wrong way of approaching a project with these artisan products by Annie Sloan. Personally, though, for me, if I had painted a piece, I would distress it before I do a whitewash. Courtney, I'm just going to come over here for a second. I want to show you an example of that. So we just did the Rochester Home and Garden Show, and Maria painted this piece in Lem Lem. And you can see here, hopefully, we distressed it and then did the whitewash. And you can tell because the wood, at least in this area, has a little bit of that white over it. Typically, if you're going to distress something and you're going to do a whitewash, I would do the whitewash last. That way, that veil of the white will go over the wood and it'll blend more. But that's me. You might want more salt in your soup. You might want the wood to be more exposed. So, again, there's no right or wrong answer to that question. It comes down to the aesthetic and the look you're trying to achieve. Okay, so will chalk paint or can it cover most surfaces, like pieces that are not natural wood? So, hey there, let's see. So yes, the answer to that question, absolutely. You can use chalk paint on wood, metal, plastic, concrete. As I showed you outside, we have painted fabric. We've painted a leather chair. We've done couches. We've actually changed the color of a patio umbrella. Yeah, so you can absolutely use the chalk paint over different types of material, different surfaces. Why don't we try that? You might need to moisten that a little bit. And let's kind of carry on more up in here. Sure. Cool. Okay. And you're welcome, Sue. Okay. I love that Lem Lem dresser, too. It turns out Lem Lem is a great color. It's a wonderful spring color. So, let's see here. I'm just wondering if there's more questions. So we talked about doing a wet distress and why. See how we mentioned we did an application of clear wax between the Hahn floor and the pure white, and it really did benefit us because it protects that Hahn floor from being removed, and we don't get down into the purple. But okay, so let's see here. One more question. Is that a metal Volkswagen Bug? Oh, that's so funny. So yeah, so we do have, you want to grab it and hold it up? Oh, wait, there's a cord on it. There we go. Yeah, so Courtney has a metal, yeah, that's a VW Bug. What's the price of that?
Oh, hold on. It is $92.
$92. It's kind of a big floppy. So, yeah, if somebody's interested in something like that, you can let us know. You can always just message right here on Facebook, and we can send you back pricing, and we can always do a little sale offline. And then we have these, what is that, would you say?
It's a Volkswagen bus.
Yeah, so they're little funky Volkswagen buses, and the cool that is later next week, we're going to have our 1978 Volkswagen bus delivered from Covington, Tennessee. Yeah. And we will be painting that bus. So, and guess what color we'll paint it? Anyone out there want to take a guess? I'm not going to say. We'll see if somebody guesses it. You'll probably guess it correctly. But yeah, so we do have that. Okay, so let's just recap one more time about the chalk paint. You want to take this over? I'll swap with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can even scooch over there if you want. I don't know what makes sense. Okay. Hi. So we talked about a bunch of different options when it comes to distressing. Something you want to take advantage of. Like I said, we were using chalk paint by Annie Sloan. It reacts and responds beautifully to any sanding sponges. We do love the Annie Sloan sanding sponges because I love the fact I can wash them out and reuse them in our workshops, which saves us a ton of money instead of getting new ones every time we have a class. So we love to use them moistened. It does cut down on the amount of dust that's created. And also, Courtney, can you come back and sort of carefully and slowly just zoom in? So, you know, chalk paint does have some texture. And if you're going with a tinted wax or a wash, that is a benefit. In some cases, the customer or you may want your piece to have more of a smoother finish. So I just want to, I'm not quite sure if the camera picks up on how smooth that looks now in this one little area. I'm also going to just moisten that just a smidge. And then once you put the clear wax on, I'm just using a little damp rag right now, you'll see how much that Han floor pops out. So distressing can be done with sandpaper, an orbital sander. Just be really careful because that may take off a lot more paint than you were expecting. You can do a wet distress when you have a piece that you just want to, maybe you're going to do this in your home and you have a very dark floor and it's a built-in cabinet and you know, you could put a drop cloth down, or maybe you're like, I really don't want to run the risk of having any powder from the distressing land on my wood floor. Doing a wet distress is a wonderful option because it won't create any of that dust. And remember, if you do have that on the floor, if you're distressing a piece and you get that accumulation of some of the powdered paint, always sweep, vacuum. You don't want to put water on that because you can reconstitute the dust and get a white wash on your floor, which is maybe something you're not looking to do, especially if you have a brand new wood floor. So any last questions? Otherwise, what we need to do is scroll through and we need to pick a winner for that bird votive. So stay here. Courtney, I'd love for you to go ahead and scroll and then see where it stops and just pick the winner. And you can zoom in on me if you want, because this is the cute little candle votive. So even if you're not watching at this moment, but you tuned in, you're going to say who got it. Who is it?
It's Penny Menzie.
Penny Menzie. How do you spell her last name?
M-E-N-Z-I-E.
Okay, Penny. So if you private message me through the Purple Painted Lady Facebook page, that would be fantastic. I just want to remind everybody that next Friday, we are going to be doing another Facebook Live. Courtney, which one is that?
It's going to be about Annie Sloan's gilding.
Oh, so we're going to be using gilding waxes. We're going to be using Annie Sloan's gilding. We're going to be using another type of gilding that comes in a glass compact. And we'll also be doing some gold foil or copper foil and talking about the differences of both. Maybe give you some ideas of why one would be used over another, and then also regarding how to seal the foil, and talking about gilding, the order of operations that you would use gilding for your project on metal or wood, and go from there. So if you can't tune in live, don't worry. All these videos are saved on Facebook, and we also put them on our YouTube channel. So again, who was the winner? You remember? Okay, so private message us. Have a great Easter weekend, everybody. Bye.